Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to Live Q&A. Today is May 21st, 2018. Well, what a week it was. I went to Geekway, which was a fantastic time. I had a great time at the Geekway of the West. I will say that the trip there and back was not spectacular. It took me 24 hours to get home. But I did get home, so that's good. Always good to be home. I'd hope to spend a little bit more time with my family, but hopefully next trip won't take so long. Next trip I'm actually going with my family, and that's what this week I'm going to a homeschool convention in Orlando where I'll be promoting games and education there. I thought that would be a good thing to do to help grow the show. So this is a live Q&A, folks. If you have any questions, you can ask them here. I don't answer every question. I might not answer your question. Asking multiple times will mean nothing. All right, so with that being said, let's get to the questions. With your increased interest in games and learning, I'm wondering if the Dice Tower is doing anything at Gen Con for the academic conference on Trade Day. You know, I keep forgetting about that, frankly. I mean to do something every year, and then I forget. So hopefully for next year. It's probably too late to sign up for something for that now, to get something up there. But yeah, that would be a fun thing to do and to promote. Let's see. Is Dice Tower looking for contributors when you get the Games and Education website up and running? There is no Games and Education. Games and Education is just a domain name that points to a subsection of the Dice Tower website where I'll put different educational game reviews there occasionally, but we're hoping that it's just a way for people to come in and find out more about this wonderful world of gaming. Did you get any custard while at Geekway? I did not, but I had a butter cake. I never heard of that before, but it was quite delicious. What's my usual order at Wendy's if you eat there? I'm not really a big fan of Wendy's food. To be fair, I'm not a big fan of fast food in general. Every time I eat fast food, and I do sometimes because I'm out traveling, I just find that I do not enjoy it like I used to. I'm not sure why. I don't mean to be snobby like people who eat fast food. No, I don't know. What was my favorite part of the Geekway? Just walking around and talking to people. That's always my favorite part of any convention. Some really great folks I talked to there and I had some really good times. Went out to eat with a few people, played games with a few people, and talked to many, many more. And that was my favorite part. Will I repeat the Sakura Arms review? Oh, sure. I'm going to redo that review. I just want to make sure I play it right before I put it up. That's all. I like to play the exit the game with my friends, but haven't done so yet. What exit game would you recommend starting with? The Laboratory would be the best starting one, I think. Z did the review of Azul, but have you played it too? Oh, sure, I've played it several times. I end up teaching it all the time. Does it live up to the hype? I think it meets the hype. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. For me, it's not a game I want to play all the time, but I certainly can understand why people do enjoy the game. Do you feel that all the cons are starting to blend together? They all feel the same? I'm planning on attending Essen for the second time. I'm wondering whether a third time would appeal to me. Well, that's up to you. I mean, every con feels different. Every con is enjoyable. I'm excited this week about going to the homeschool convention because it just has a different feel to it. I'm not sure what to expect, actually. I'll let you guys know when I get back. Gooey butter cake. Yeah, you're right. Not butter cake. Gooey butter cake. It was very delicious. Have you seen the new Legends of Monkey on Netflix? I have not. I mean, I've seen that it's there. I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen the old Legends of Monkey. Or was there a previous show? I don't even know. My family and I took a vote this week. Your pig needs to be named Pickles. Isn't Pickles the name of a pig? I gotta look that up because I suspect there is a Pickles the pig. It sounds Pickles the pig. Well, there's a Facebook. Okay, so it's not from a book. Maybe. I'll consider it. Don't eat the whole cake. I didn't eat the whole cake. It was delicious, but I only ate I ate 2 small pieces. Do you have to cut the lawn outside Dice Tower Studio? No, part of our rent includes lawn care. So some guys come by and cut it. I don't know how often they cut it, but it happens often. I would say once a week seems like too much, but it depends. The more it rains, the more it gets cut. Have you given Pioneer Days a try yet? I have given Pioneer Days a try. In fact, I played with a couple people at the different groups at the Geekway. Someone's asking for advice for someone interested in a missionary. Necessary to go to seminary first. Advice from your experience. My advice would be talk to your pastor and get the advice from him. That's what I would do. I live in Connecticut. Did you guys ever visit here for any reason? I guess I was visiting Eric because he lives in Connecticut. Although I've heard, his week has not been the greatest with the huge power outages and all that's going on with the bad thunderstorms that hit. So if you're in Connecticut, stay safe. What was your favorite arcade game when they were still around? Mine was Golden Axe. Mine was the X-Men. The 6-player one where you just went through and fought and fought and fought again. I love that game. Maybe Gauntlet. Gauntlet I also liked a lot too. Are you excited for the Arcadia Quest's Riders expansion? Did I have a chance to play a demo version? I did not. I looked at it, but I didn't have a chance to play it. I backed it if that's any indication. What happened to the best and the worst segment on Board Game Breakfast? Oh, it just, sometimes segments go away and different people do different things. I'm sure it'll be back at some point and different people do different things. Sometimes segments fade away. I never push people because people are busy and there's a lot of things that you have to do. Seems like I might become a father this night. Any advice? I'm guessing by that you mean that you're having a baby tonight. Congratulations. Any advice? Take care of your wife. Now, Infinity War has been out a couple weeks. Are you going to talk about it in more depth or make a video with Z and Sam? I don't know. I mean, we don't normally do video reviews. Did we do one on Star Wars? I don't remember. It's my favorite movie, period. I like it. It's my favorite MCU, but it's my favorite movie. Now, of course, that's somewhat contingent on the second half being as good as the first half, but I have high hopes that it will be. But the first half was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Do you still like hats as much as you used to? We've had a falling out lately. Is that brick wall behind you textured or is it flat? Textured. Is there a deck building game with 3+ resources to obtain new cards? Is there an example where that added complexity is a good thing? Yeah, I just played one recently where there was 3 different resources. Oh, the Scott Pilgrim one has 3 different resources. Is there an example where the added complexity is a good thing? Off the top of my head, I can't think of any times. Usually it's not. Any new info on Dice Tower Retreat? I promise I will tell you when there's new info on it. So when anyone who has signed up for the thing, as soon as I have the information, I will tell everybody. I promise. Nothing can stop the blob. Yeah, the X-Men arcade game. I remember that all the time because the blob, I think, the blob is the second one you fight. First you fight Pyro, then you fight the blob. Who do you fight in that game? I think you fight Juggernaut and you fight Magneto eventually, if you have enough quarters to get to that point. Ah, such a great game. Storm was super overpowered. Was she? I always use Nightcrawler. His zigzagging through everybody. I like Colossus too. Nightcrawler and Colossus were my favorite. I guess Storm was good. I didn't really like Cyclops as much. I like the ones that had kind of an omnidirectional special attack rather than the ones that went one way. Also, Nightcrawler could do that jump and just jump through people. Kept like diving through people. That was really hard for the computer to stop. Are you a breakfast or brunch type of person? Well, I really like lunch, so breakfast. Because if you eat brunch, then people are like, well, we already ate brunch, we can't eat lunch. Psst, we should eat both. I just got $150 for my birthday. Happy birthday. Any new games you can suggest I pick up? Check out our reviews. Is my opinion on Kickstarter exclusive for board games? Do you think they fall into the same category of manipulation as loot boxes and PC games? I don't really have a lot of experience with loot boxes and video games. I think they're manipulation, sure, but I don't get too upset by them. I think the companies, why would you want to do all these exclusives? It gets people irritated, but it does make people back your project, right? How many times have you seen a project and someone says, well, if there's no exclusives, there's no reason for me to back it. I'll just wait till it comes out. It's a circular problem, right? You can blame the companies who offer the exclusives, but then you can blame the customers who refuse to back a game if it doesn't have exclusives. So I don't know who to blame. Are there other games that come close to the feeling of Arcadia Quest? Because this person likes Final Fantasy Tactics, and Arcadia Quest has a little bit of that feeling to it. Yeah, there's probably some out there, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Arcadia Quest does have a similar feel to that. Second half, is that not a spoiler? Well, not until you said anything, right? Come on, at this point, everyone knows there's another movie coming out next year. They've announced it, Untitled Avengers 4. Not to mention this movie was originally called Part 1. Are the inlays on the game table uncomfortable to rest the arms on long games? So I guess you mean because they are the things in the middle here. I just don't put my hands on those parts. I guess it would be, but there's enough flat spots on the table that I can just rest my arms in those. Do you still keep in touch with Moritz Egger? Ooh. Occasionally. I emailed him when we did our episode 500, which was over a year ago, so it's been a while since I've talked to him. I don't know how much he games these days. And sorry for yawning. I'm still catching up on sleep with over the weekend things. No Twitch today? No, we decided that we're just going to do YouTube for the Q&As, and Twitch would be better for the actual live gaming. When we do live gaming, for example, when Sam does his Memoir 44, it's only Twitch that they're really looking at the comments on. Going to my first convention this year, Origins. Top 5 off the cuff piece of advice. I have no idea what to expect. Well, maybe I'll make if it's your first Origins video. I'm not going to give you a top 5 though. Just when you go there, just go around, look at everything, ask questions, go online. There's a lot of good things. Go to the North Market. It's very close, great food. Come by the Dice Tower booth, say hi to us, go through the exhibit hall, take your time. People ask you to demo a game, consider demoing a game. Jump into games and don't be afraid to play, to maybe set a game up and ask someone to join you. It's a lot of fun and you'll have a great time. If nothing else, come to the Dice Tower booth and ask us. Say, what should I do here? And we can point you different ways. Do you ever play unpublished games from new designers? 0.00001% of the time. Tom, have you ever made the choice to stop featuring a contributor, or do they always stop, leave on their own? Have you ever had to have a meeting and explain that it's time to go? Hang on one moment. Let's see here. Hang on. Once, and I mean, it's not that it's public. It's not that it's not that it was a secret when it happened when we separated from Board Game Brawl. But I said my piece, they said theirs, and that was that. We're done. Other than that, we've never ever kicked a contributor off our show. There's been some contributors who have sent in things, and I said, I don't really like this particular thing, or I don't like the style of this show, or this segment's not really working right. But for the most part, when contributors leave, almost always when you see a contributor leave, it's because they just stopped doing it, not because we told them to. Like Chaz left a few months ago, and it's because he just felt like he had finished what he had to say, so he was done there. The X-Men arcade game was on the iPad for a while? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That sounds fun. Am I the only one who has mini fatigue? I don't think minis are bad. I like minis. I like moving minis around as long as they fit in the game and the game makes sense with miniatures. I always find it, interesting when people get all like huffy against miniatures. You know, like, oh, well, I don't need, I'd rather there be tokens. Well, that's great, but you need to accept the fact that you're in a minority there. And I know that whenever I say that, people are like, my friends also all agree on this. That's great, but look at the numbers. Look at every Kickstarter has miniatures. They just do better. Yeah, minis don't need to be in everything, but I don't think they're horrific. And I know people say, well, they increase the cost of a game. True, but there's plenty of games without miniatures that you can buy. I don't know what else to tell you. Have I read James Islington's Lacanius trilogy? They say people that love Wheel of Time will love it. Well, maybe I'll read it. I'm still going through. I'm in the third book of Brandon Sanderson's I can't remember the name of the series now. Well, I can, because I can just open it up here. I'm currently reading Oathbringer, Book 3 of the Stormlight Archive. I love this series. I thought Mistborn was my favorite series of his, but this one is definitely giving it a run for the money. Really enjoying it. All right, sorry, I won't try to do too much book talk here. I liked your CMON Expo coverage, but read some negative comments on some of your videos calling them advertisement, etc. Would you please comment and clarify? Well, it's not advertisement. We went there. A lot of us went there, and we took a lot of videos, so there's a lot of CMON video out there. Maybe too much of it, possibly. We did a lot of different coverage of it, and I'll probably pull back in a future year. When we went there, I honestly expected there to be a lot more games that were there. Like new games, and there wasn't a ton, so you're seeing some of the same stuff on over, but there's no payment, nothing, advertising. We talk about it. Well, if we didn't like something, we would say that too. So, no, I hope that's clarifying. I saw your unboxing of Dungeon Alliance. What's your opinion on the game? Will there be a review? Well, that would be my opinion. Dungeon Alliance, if I manage to squeeze it in, will be this week, at the very, very, very end of the week, if it gets squeezed in. Right now, I'm a little off on reviews. Like, I have only done 6 reviews today. I was trying to get more done, but I still have another hour after I'm done with, well, maybe more than that, to get some stuff done. So I'll try to get some more done. We were busy playing some games today too, so you know that does take up time, right? So there's just some time that's been spent. But Dungeon Alliance is a bigger game, so if I get it in the schedule, we'll talk about it later this week. Tom, if you play games and it's in fact your job, how do you relax? By playing games. How young is too young to watch Infinity War? That is a parental question on your own, really. I'd go read parent reviews and see what they say. What do you do to keep yourself entertained while your travel home was delayed? Well, I have an iPad well, if you notice, I said I was in book 3 of the Stormlight Archive. Those are not short books. The one I'm reading now has 1,242 pages. And I read through I finished the second book. I read through almost the whole second book on my trip. And then I read the in-between novel. There's a Edge Dancer. That's a much shorter book, only like 40,000 words. I read that, and then I started the next book. So I read. I also worked, checked my email, caught up on some email, did some work on Board Game Breakfast. There's a lot of Dice Tower administrative stuff that I can do. And so I stayed pretty busy. Do you feel keeping the same group together for near and far campaign is important? I don't think so. Hello in Venezuela. Which is the last board game you played with your friends just for fun? The last game I played just for fun. Oh, I know what you're saying. You're saying you play games and you're not going to review them. I don't know. I can't turn that off. You're saying, well, pick a game that you know you weren't going to review. Yeah, sure. I played several of those over the weekend. But I don't feel, when I play games, even for work and for reviewing them, I'm having fun. And you say, what about your friends? Well, everyone I play with is my friend, right? Will you be holding a panel at Essen this year? Yes. What's the best way to get a seat? Come by our booth and get a ticket. What are your dream games that should get the Fireball Island treatment? Fireball Island, for sure. For Dice Tower Cruise, will you always leave from Florida? I don't know. We'll see as time goes by. But for now, it's from Florida. Any chance you'll leave from California? Probably not, because I live in Florida. I was going to sign up for Origins, but didn't realize you had to pay for everything you play after that. You don't have to. You can get around paying for playing. I mean, there's a lot of places to play. Like you can pay an extra $20-some and go to the open gaming, and then you're done. You don't have to pay anymore if you go into that area. And there's other places. You can play all over the convention. There's little tables and everything that you can play. Origins is definitely harder to play for free than some conventions, but you can. If you have a group of friends, it's even easier. And I mean, you can also go around and just look at all the exhibitors' games, and they'll do demos for you, and you don't have to pay to play those. If you want to, in some halls you might have to. But yeah, there's extra fees and things, but there is ways to not pay a dime. When I went to Origins, I don't believe I ever paid to play in it. I'm sorry, when I went, I still go now. But before I was going as a exhibitor and doing our Dice Tower thing, when I just went and visited Origins on my own, I just went around and found a table in a corner somewhere and played games with people. Did you have fun with the recharge pack for Charterstone? Would you ever do videos showing off your creation and why you put things where you did on the board? Yes, and I've already done that video. Search for it. You skipped my question. I hate you, Tom. Fair enough. All right. I heard the Geek and Son camp was canceled, but they were vague on reasons why. Did you hear anything? Yes, I heard it was canceled. So I know that. That is honestly the extent of my knowledge. If you had the run of the NASA launch control room for a few hours, what game would you play? Oh, you mean like I could play it in the NASA launch room? I would just walk around and look at everything. The Situation Room, same question. I don't think I'd be thinking about playing a game if I was in either one of those spots. Do you prefer teaching games or being taught games, and why? I way prefer teaching. I don't know why. That's a personality trait, I guess. I think the aversion to miniatures that keeps people from buying a game that otherwise might be able to afford it if it weren't miniatures based. Sure, and I understand that, but there's other games that don't have miniatures and you can buy them. You said, but I want that game. Then save up your money and get it. I feel sometimes that we kind of live in this, I want everything my way type world, and I get that, but speaking from a game publisher standpoint, so here I am, I'm publisher A, and I want to make a game. And so I make 1,000 games, and I'm going to sell them for $40. I add miniatures to it now and sell for $60. I sell all 1,000 of those games. There's 100 people over here yelling at me that if I made it cheaper, they would buy it. But I sold all these games to those people. Yes, I want you, 100 people, to buy that game, but should I make it 1,000 with the lower quality, then those 100 people will buy it. But those other 1,000 are like, well, I really wanted the nicer pieces, and they go somewhere else. The fact is you can have a company that makes, here's a game with miniatures, here's games that aren't, and they make smaller games if you can't afford them. And everyone's prices and affording is to be different. You're like, but that game doesn't need the miniatures to be good. Sure, a game doesn't need a lot of things to be good. It doesn't need linen finish on the cards. That'd make a game cheaper. It doesn't need a plastic insert. That would make the game cheaper. It doesn't need stickers on wood blocks. Just have them there. And I mean, meeple-shaped things. You could just use cubes. I mean, you can keep cutting costs all the way down, and you can make really cheap games. And we notice because there's companies who do. And those games don't sell that well. Why? Because people want the aesthetics. And for a lot of people, the aesthetics of a game is miniatures. And they like moving around miniatures. You're like, but wooden people are just as good. To you. But obviously enough people like the miniatures that that's what they want to get. And I think sometimes that we kind of take what I want in a game and we kind of project that on everybody else. I mean, there's times where I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm as guilty of this as everybody else. I'll review a game, but like, pfft. I mean, I did that one game where I said the artwork in it, boy, I hated the artwork in it. And I found out that, lo and behold, a lot of people like that artwork. I still don't like it, and I still am confused as to why other people would, but obviously a lot of people disagree with me on that particular game. That's just how it is. I'm going to play Quadropolis for the first time. Should I play Classic or Expert? Classic for your first time. And with the Playground expansion or not? Nah, you can or not. It's no big deal. So you at Geekway, what brought you out this way? Well, I've been wanting to go to Geekway for a long time. And so Colossal Games brought me out to Geekway to demo some games for them. And so I demoed their game for them for a while, and then got the rest of the time to go around and look at all the stuff, which I really liked. Would you like to visit South Korea again in the future sometime? Oh, sure, sure, sure. Is there a board game accessory or memorabilia that you would like to have that you don't have yet? You know what? They're money chips. I keep meaning to get these. Minion Games made them for their space game, which was okay. They made this big space game, I forget what it's called. But there was these money chips. It was like a Kickstarter upgrade or something. And they were like futuristic little metal bill money futuristic things. I really liked how they looked, and I would have taken a huge ton of them. Yes, I haven't. Something that just came to my mind. So yes, I just realized something. Sorry, something else came to mind, but that's the thing I look for. With Watch It Played becoming self-sustaining financially, do you ever see the Dice Tower ever getting there? I hope at some point we will be self-sustaining. Pop culture loves aliens, so Catan can be a hit in mass market big box stores. Why couldn't Cosmic encounter it? Well, I mean, they're not the same game, though. Catan isn't making a gazillion dollars because it's based on farming. It's because the game is that accessible to people. And games, the theme of the game can be very accessible to people regardless. Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, the themes of them is not what's selling the game. It's the gameplay itself, how easy it is. I like Cosmic a lot, but it's not a game that everybody can play on first try. Some people are going to hate it. Well, these are like super serious questions. Have you had time when your kids have trouble concentrating on their lessons? How do you deal with it? My nephew's struggling with school, and I want to help him with homeschooling. This, again, these are questions I daren't answer really online because it's different for everybody. Every kid is different. Every way you deal with them is different, and I don't dare give advice on this kind of subject. I could tell you what I would do, but I found out the last time I did such things publicly, and that's too specialized, right? I have 7 kids. All 7 of them require different methodologies to help them concentrate. I got one right now who's here, and she just does everything she's supposed to always, all the time. It does not make her the best kid, but she just does it. I don't have to tell her to do that. I got another kid who you have to like follow around and say, do this, do this, do this. Everyone's different. How do you best handle stress or anxiety? That's also a question that's, it's different for everyone. Are you being specific in saying, how do I handle stress and anxiety? Because everyone handles these things differently. I don't think anyone handles it well. The Murph brothers are here. They said they couldn't film a segment in time. They still haven't put up the segment that I recorded with them at MeepleCon. We did some segments together, and they haven't posted them. Very sad. My 4-year-old wants to know if you live in a game store. I do not live in a game store, but wouldn't that be great? I used to dream about like living in the mall. I read a book about some kids who lived in the mall one time for a long time, or a department store, or something like that. My dishwasher isn't working. Any tips? Yeah. Is it normal for me to have trouble defeating the first campaign of Stuffed Fables? Feel overwhelmed by the minions after a couple bad rolls for defense. I thought so too, and then I talked to the designer and I talked to Eric Summer, who had played the game, and I realized I'd been doing stuffing. You got to take some time just getting stuffing and preparing with stuffing and going around. Then it's a lot easier to fight them. Any news on a quarterly game show you and Eric are going to do that you can share with us? No news on that. Sorry. I apologize. It is a lower priority at this point in time, especially with Eric's power being out. What number would Charterstone be best with? I liked it with 4 a lot. I haven't played it with 5 or 6 at all, even my finished game. I don't know that I would want to. It was really good with 4. I think 6 might work, right? I don't know. I might try it someday. But I found for the most part, an easy rule of thumb is, what's the maximum number of players in a Euro game that's more than 4 players? Drop it by 1. Now, this isn't always the case, but if I see a Euro game that says 2 5 players, I play it with 4. If it says 6 players, I might play it with 5. But I'll probably still play it with 4. That's not always the case. Some games like Puerto Rico Grande are great with 5. But it's like 99.9% always true. If they add more players in the expansion, then you didn't need them to begin with. The only game off the top of my head I can think of that doesn't work for is Cosmic Encounter, because Cosmic Encounter comes with 5, but it's way better with 6. Maybe someone else can tell me one where an expansion added more players and that was a good thing. Because almost always I'm like, nah. Like I remember way back in the day, Settlers of Catan, I was like, what? You can add a 5th or 6th player with this expansion? Definitely getting that. No, it doesn't make Catan better. It really doesn't. That's definitely the best looking hat he owns. Okay, sure. This is a hat I like a lot, but I like all my hats. Were you into Legos as a kid? I was. If so, did your favorite set or character? Well, realize I didn't have any sets because my parents could not afford to buy the sets, so we just had generic Legos. But I played with my friends, and my favorite sets by far, what was a tie between the castle sets and the pirate sets. I loved building those castles and pirate ships and then fighting the pirates and the soldiers, the same thing. Love that stuff. What's my favorite sandwich? That's a hard call. Probably a Reuben, a really good Reuben. Or Rachel's also good. But I like, a sub, but steak sandwich. There's so many good sandwiches. I might do a top 10 sandwiches someday. I'm sure I've done it before here when people have asked. What's your opinion on Tabletop Simulator? Is it beneficial for game publishers or damaging? There is no way on earth that it's damaging. No way it's damaging. Anyone who plays a game of Tabletop Simulator and doesn't buy the board game as a result, that first of all, it doesn't rarely happen. And if it does, they weren't going to buy the board game anyway. And if anything, it brings attention to those games for sure. When you designed Nothing Personal, did you know right away you had a good game, or did you rely a bit more on playtests? No, I didn't know right away. I knew. It's kind of weird with Nothing Personal. When I first had the idea for it, I was sitting around and I was like, this would work. Moving things from one person to another. The idea of influence and moving the influence spots. I was like, wow, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that before. And as the game went by, there were different times where I knew an idea was good. Like when I was talking to Steve on the phone one time, because we did a lot of design back and forth over the phone. And I remember we were talking about, hey, if there's too much influence on someone, then that person pops. The police arrest them. They're too noticeable. And I was like, that is a fantastic idea. I don't remember whose idea it was. I'm going to say it was Steve's idea. And when I heard that, I was like, what a good, I knew that was good as soon as I heard it. I was very happy with that. Too much influence would make someone pop. And well, that's what we call it, behind the scenes. And so I like that idea a lot. So there were different moments where I was like, that's good. That's good. There were things when we cut them, I was like, oh, I like this idea. But once I played it without the idea, I was like, that's good without that. What's your favorite Monty Python movie? Holy Grail. Although I really do like, I don't remember what movie it is, but at the very beginning of the movie, there's like a whole section where there's some accountants who decide that they're going to go conquer the world as pirates. It's a really dumb skit, and it's really long, and I really like it. Do you see and read through all the silly comments here? Are the questions filtered out for you? No, I filter them myself. So sure, I probably skip some questions that people would like me to answer sometimes, but some things don't work publicly, and sometimes I just don't feel like answering them. Sorry. Do you play any idle clicking games? Yeah, I play Crusaders of the Lost Idol. That's my favorite idle clicking game. Crusaders of the Lost Idols. It's on Armor Games. Have you played an Icelandic game? I don't think so. Most of the footage from MeepleCon got corrupted, and we lost most of it. That's why you haven't seen it, said the Murph brothers. That's very sad. We'll have to do it again next year. When will you get a Twitch donation link or alert? I think we have to have a certain number of views on Twitch before we can do that. I'm not sure. What game do you least enjoy teaching but still like to play? Oh, there's a lot of games like that. If you go watch our top 10 games we don't want to play with noobs, I think that's part of them, right? Game where it's like, oh, this game's a hard game to teach. There's a lot of games that I'm like, oh man, do you already know how to play this? Oh, whew. Great, let's jump into it. Blood Rage added a 5th player. It was pretty good. No, I disagree. Blood Rage for me is way too long with 4 players. Lords of Waterdeep, if you play the expansions without the extra players, the game's too open. Nope, I like Lords of Waterdeep. Well, I can take it with 5, but not with 6. Too many players. Come on, give me one. Wizwar was better with the 5th player. Okay, we have to start with a game I like first, so sorry. Raiders in the North Sea, also not great with more than 4. Well, that's not helping. Extra players and Escape, Curse of the Lost Temple works well. Escape. How many players were in the original game? I don't know about that one. Telestrations. Oh, there we go. Telestrations, you're right. The more people in Telestrations. Although technically Telestrations isn't really a game. And I'll take party games out of this. Party games don't. Yes, party games always play more with good players. But strategic, Euro or American style games, you haven't given me one yet. Let's see here. Let's see. How can I get over the fact that most legacy games can only be played once? It really bothers me, but I know it shouldn't. I don't know what to tell you. That really doesn't bother me. There's such a great experience and fun to play. Does it bother you when you go eat a meal and then you're done with the meal and you'll never be able to eat that meal again? If you do, you have to pay for it again? I don't know. That's the way I feel about it. You know, the experience we got from a legacy game is fantastic, and for the price of that legacy game, totally worth it. I was listening to an old podcast the other day, and you mentioned starting to design another game after Nothing Personal. Still in the works? Now, yeah, I remember that. After Nothing Personal, we started designing a game about robot combat in an arena. And I had some really good ideas for this game, and it just never gelled. I was working on it with a couple other people. And we had ideas of, basically it was, you're going to be moving around and fighting by rolling different dice for different elements, and each element had a different die on it, and you attack, and you were like building your robot on the fly as you moved around the arena. But it never really gelled much more than that, and never really came together, and it's been years since I've even looked at my ideas for it. When you're playing games, do you ever have moments of inspiration where you think, I could make a great game with this idea? No, but I do think, wow, this is a really great idea. I have those ideas. Sudoku, crossword, or logic puzzle? Easily logic puzzles. I like logic puzzles, although sometimes they're really hard. The one I like better than all three of those are the paint by numbers puzzles, where if you've ever seen them, there's a bunch of numbers in rows and columns, and so it might say 3, 6, 4. And that means there's 3 squares together, 6 squares together, and 4 squares together. And I have to figure out where those groupings are, and you mix and match them, and it makes a picture. I really like doing those. More than Sudoku. Crossword I don't really like because I run into crossword and I just don't know the answer to a category. They'll be like, actress in the 1943. I'm like, well, sorry, I'm out there. I don't know anything about that. That's why crosswords don't appeal to me. Sudoku's okay, except Sudoku felt like it was the same thing over and over again. Logic puzzles I like. Have you ever thought about doing an FAQ for questions you won't answer? Here's all the questions I won't answer. No, because then people will be like, why won't you answer those questions? Top 5 favorite pre-80s movies. Well, I guess Star Wars is on that list. Pre-80s movies. Well, let me see here. I'm a member of a website called Flickchart. If you've never been to Flickchart, well, I don't recommend you do it because your life gets addicting. It shows you 2 movies, and then you pick one. So like right here, Underworld Evolution versus The Running Man. Well, Running Man, obviously. Scream 3 and Over the Hedge. Well, Over the Hedge. I like Over the Hedge a lot, actually. Schindler's List or Gone with the Wind. Schindler's List. Such a good movie. Gremlins versus Wayne's World. Gremlins. But I know I'll get feedback on that one. What Women Want or Shrek? Shrek. And you can also click on you haven't seen one. So Gravity versus Chicken Run. Chicken Run. Okay, so anyway. So you keep doing this. Top Gun versus Independence Day. Independence Day. Little Shop of Horrors and Rounders. I don't think I've seen Rounders, so we'll change it. Little Shop of Horrors versus Spirited Away. Oh, Spirited Away. Okay, so anyway, we're getting all caught up in this. So anyway, it can give you your top 20 of all time. Now, my top 20 of all time, I haven't done this for years because I'm looking here and most of the Marvel comic universe is not in here. But I wonder if I can do this and look for movies on my favorites list here. Filter by decade or year. So let's filter by the 70s first and see what happens for movies that I like a lot. I can tell you right now, probably off the top of my head, my favorite from pre-80s is 12 Angry Men. So Star Wars, The Muppet Movie, Superman, Rocky, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Rocky 2, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Robin Hood, Little John Bonnet. I mean, there's a lot of Disney movies that came out from there. Grease, Young Frankenstein. So there we go. Now let's filter it. That was by the 70s. Let's filter it by the 60s and see if I have any movies in my top favorites from the 60s. This is probably not that interesting. I apologize for all those who came here about Game Talk. The Great Escape. Oh, yeah, I like that movie a lot. Night of the Living Dead, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. I really like that one. Mary Poppins. I'm a huge fan of Mary Poppins. Spartacus. I like the original Spartacus. All right, let's look at the 1950s now. I know that some of them you're like, you're not saying such and such a game. Yeah, movie. Like, I know I didn't say Godfather. That wasn't an accident. There we go. 12 Angry Men. Love 12 Angry Men. Singing in the Rain. Like that one a lot. Bridge in the River Kwai. Ben-Hur. I like that one. Again, I'm skipping on Disney movies. I like the Disney movies. Just assume that. North by Northwest. All right. I think we're done with the 1950s. Now we're going to 1940s. Okay. It's a Wonderful Life. And then Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi. All right, now the 1930s. I don't think I'm going to have any movies from the 1930s, but we'll see. Oh, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Oh, yeah, I really like that movie. And The Wizard of Oz. All right, 1920s. There are no movies. Okay, there we go. There's my answer to your question. All right. Last Kickstarter you backed? I believe it's Arcadia Quest Riders. I think I just backed it today. Would you classify a hot dog as a sandwich? Yeah, sure, it's a sandwich. The Monty Python with the Accountant Pirates is the meaning of life. Okay, yeah. You know what? I don't really care about most of the meaning of life. I remember seeing the movie, but I like the Accountant Pirates at the beginning. Does Dice Tower have access or use a 3D printer yet? No, I can't really justify it. We would end up playing with it all the time. And considering how much of a pain a regular printer is, a 3D printer is going to, it would be a toy, right? And I'd be constantly printing out 3D toys. Ever played laser tag? I love laser tag. Not as much as paintball. Paintball's better, but I like laser tag. Laser tag hurts less. Paintball hurts like all get out, but it's still fun. When will you review Century Eastern Wonders? Is it out? I previewed it, but I don't believe it's out yet. Is there a space game which takes place in a spaceship where you try to hide from aliens? Yes, it's called Escape from Aliens in Outer Space. Seven Wonders works best with more people. Yeah, that's true, but it wasn't added in an expansion. But you're right. Seven Wonders does work really well with more people, but I don't think it hurts it playing at 4 or 5 either. Cold Express is better with more. Yeah, okay, I'll take that one. Do you own a kilt? I do not own a kilt. I do not really want to own a kilt. I'm not saying people who own kilts are bad or anything. It's just not my style at all. I don't think I would be able to sit properly in a kilt. Noria versus Merlin. Which one would you choose? That's a weird matchup. Probably Merlin, maybe? I don't know. I feel pretty much the same about both of them. Noria is more of a puzzle. Tom, when you're not on camera, do you prefer to work from home or are you constantly at the Dice Tower studio 5 days plus a week? Not plus, just 5 days a week. I work from home a lot, and I work from home at nights. I like working here because it's quieter and I can get more things done. Do you go into a review of a $15 game with different expectations compared to a $50 game? I do. I expect $50 worth of game as opposed to $15. That's just the way it is. Did you watch the royal wedding? You know what? I did. I didn't mean to, but I woke up early on Saturday before the convention, and so I was getting some work done. I turned on TV, and the royal wedding was on. And I was like, huh. I've never seen a royal wedding. Let's watch it. It was a very interesting thing. I found it quite interesting. It's an interesting mix between like just two different cultures. That was kind of a fascinating thing to see. Also, man, you talk about my hats. The ladies in England wear fantastic hats. Do you ever go to any minor league baseball games? No, I don't think there's a minor league team around here. I live in Miami, or south of Miami, so I can go see the Marlins. Although it was an interesting, just the other day, I met the chef for the Marlins. And so he came to my church, and so I had a chance to talk to him about what it's like to be the chef for a baseball team. I thought that was a fascinating thing. That was just interesting. I always like meeting people who are interesting, and that was a fascinating thing to me. Can you recall the last song you listened to? Well, I think I can. I'll just pull it up here on Spotify, and let's see. What song was I listening to? I think I fell asleep, though, while listening to Spotify last. Nope, I can't. Wait. Can't stop me. Don't stop me now. There we go. Shh. All right. Arsenic and Old Lace. Now, I didn't like Arsenic and Old Lace at all. I remember my mom said, "You're going to love this movie." And I was like, all right. Moms tend to know what you like. And I watched it. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with everyone in his house? Well, I just didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of black comedy, though, in general. And I think that's like the first one or one of the earlier ones. Have you ever received inside information about a board game that excited you so much you wanted to tell everyone, but were sworn to secrecy? Can you tell us now? Oh, I don't know. I mean, it happens all the time where I'll know about something and then I get excited about it. And then when it comes out, I'm like, ooh, we can finally talk about it. I apologize, but I can't. I'm trying to think through all the different games that I really love, and I knew about them early sometimes. But, when someone tells me about a game, like, for example, in the last month or so, I found out about a game that I'm super excited about. Can't tell you guys about it. But I just put it out of my brain. I only thought of it now because you said it. I just don't think about them that much, so it's okay. And then later on, you'll be like, what was that game you were super excited about? And I'll be like, I don't remember. White Christmas. Oh, yeah, I do like White Christmas. That's a great movie. Nah, I don't like Bad News Bears. Sorry. What's the name of the site? Flick Chart. Brandon Sanderson versus Robert Jordan. I'm sorry. Brandon Sanderson kicks him around the block. So much better. The Wheel of Time series was good, and I'm glad I read it. And that's how I found out about Brandon Sanderson to begin with, because he finished it. But he built this world where all the characters were essentially the same. Yeah, there was some differences between Perrin and Matt and Randall Thor. They're three main characters, but like every female you met in the whole series stood like this and talked about how stupid men were. That was a consistent theming in the books. And I got over it, and there was some different characters, but most of the characters acted the same. Brandon Sanderson's characters are so different. In fact, I was so pleased when I read that he had this little edge dancer, little novelette, because it was an insert. In this Stormlight Archive, he writes this really, really long book, and it's about three main characters, right? And all three of these characters are fairly different. And every once in a while, he'll stop and have an interlude and have a few chapters from other people all throughout the kingdom. And they're different. They're unusual. They're interesting. And I just really like him. I'm sorry. He's probably my current favorite writer. Well, Timothy Zahn is still pretty amazing. So, I don't know. Maybe Timothy Zahn. But he's up there. Now people are talking about movies. If you invented a sandwich, what would it be? It'd be delicious. 70s Invasion of the Body Snatchers is fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, but I have seen that movie. If you invented a sandwich, how high would it be? Yeah. Now people are talking about movies. Will you share 5 unique themes you'd like to see? No. This is like one of my most asked questions. I need to stick this one on the FAQ. Modern. We need more games that are based in today's timing. The puzzles with the numbers you are referring to is called a nonogram. Well, I don't know that. We got to be careful. I don't know that they're always called that. They're definitely called paint by numbers. Are they always called nanograms? Maybe they are. But I thought they were. Well, that's what the Games magazine called them back in the day. Do you think the funny pictures drag down exploding kittens? I feel like people care more about owning the funniest card instead of playing the game smart. No, I don't think the funny pictures drag down exploding kittens at all. I live close to Germany. I'm planning to go to Essen this year. However, I have 2 toddlers. Is it fun for little kids? Maybe for a brief time. There's a middle area where there's places for kids to play. They do like a little circus for kids and fun things, and then that would be it. I wouldn't take them to the rest of it. Have I ever been in Latvia? I have not. My favorite author is still Heinlein. I liked Heinlein. He's definitely in my top 10 authors. The problem is he had such a serious shift in his writing style that I like his young adult stuff, which I always thought was a weird misnomer because I can read those books now as an adult, and it's like you're reading young adult. Okay, cool. But I like that stuff way better. Once you get to his weirder stuff, I mean, granted, I say grok all the time, so I guess he's inserted a word into my vocabulary, but I don't like it as much. It got too nebulous. He was too, I don't know, I just didn't like it as much. I like his earlier stuff much better. I love Starship Troopers, but my favorite is probably, I don't know. There's so many good books that he's written. Tunnel to the Stars, maybe? Or is it Tunnel Through the Stars? Tunnel? I really like that one a lot. All right, anyway. Have you been to New Zealand? I have not. Do you think Lisboa will be your number 1 game of all time in the far future? Probably not. I've seen some of those paint-by-number puzzles referred to as Picross, maybe. What was the best game you played at Geekway to the West? Was it Button Wars? No, it wasn't Button Wars. The best game I played when I was there was Magical Athlete. Oh, wait, I didn't play Magical Athlete. I just ran it. Okay, so we won't count that one. Probably Pioneer Days. Do you like those bad lip reading videos? I do enjoy those. Which version of Council of 4 do you prefer, CMON or Cranio Creations? CMON for sure. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Ooh, I think I do like that one. Have you read American Gods by Neil Gaiman? Yeah, I read it. I don't know if Gaiman's for me. One of his books I like, the one where you go in the underground, like the Wizard, like the Alice in Wonderland under London. I like that one a lot. But his stuff's just weird. In American Gods, there's just so much weird stuff. At the end of the book, I'm done, and I'm still not 100% sure what happened. What's worse, Phase 10 or Skip-Bo? Phase 10. It's my birthday today, says Juan. Happy birthday to you. Any plans to review the new Manhattan Project game? It's coming. Do you think board gamers are more or less likely to gamble for money in a casino? I think it's about the same as everyone else. Because I've been to Vegas with gamers around, and I've seen some of them gamble and some of them don't. Stranger to Strangeland. That's the book I was talking about. Can't stand Heinlein, barely got through Starship Troopers, and says Benjamin. I get it. If you don't like Starship Troopers, you probably wouldn't like his other stuff. But Stranger to Strangeland is his second style of writing. The other books came earlier. They're a much different style of writing. Hey, I'm caught up on questions? What? Oh, wait. Neverwhere. That one I like. Neverwhere from Gaiman. I enjoyed that one because that one made more sense. Although I would have loved to read like the next book if he had made a sequel to it, which I don't think he did. Any plans to review MOA? Yeah. It's sitting on my shelf right in front of me. I'm hoping to review it today, actually. It's not going to go up today, but it's going to go up this week. You'll see MOA this week, my review of it. Best Korean dish to try for someone who's never tried Korean before, bulgogi, for sure. And mandu. Get some mandu. My favorite Highland is probably the Star Beast. You think so? That was good, but I don't think I liked it as much as... That one was okay. People are going to come on here and think it's a book podcast. I actually enjoyed the first half of Starship Troopers. Second half got a bit weird. Oh, I thought the first half was more interesting by far, where he's going through and it's showing him go through basic training. That was really interesting. I like that part a lot. What Korean food do you miss the most? I don't know, because I mean I can get it in America. So I mean, my wife makes kimchi jjigae and things like that. Thanks to you, I'm on Flickchart now. Instant Addiction. I warned you. You will sit there and you will play it for hours and just click, 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 click. I mean, I have it open here now, and I'm gonna close it so it doesn't tempt me. And I've been wanting, one of the things I've really been wanting to do for a long time was make a flick chart for board games where you did the same thing. Click, 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 and it made your top 100. Have you seen Legion or Runaways? I've seen Legion, I haven't seen Runaways. Do you think Seventh Continent will break your top 10? I think you mean break into my top 10. We'll have to wait and see. Hey! Guess what, though, folks? That's all the questions we have time for today. So, if you're in Orlando this week, I might see you at the homeschool convention. But next week, UK Games Expo, me and Z will be heading out there. So, we hope to see some of you guys at the different events that we have there. Come on out to our top 10 or other events. But anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Man, this is a pain. Hi, I'm a pirate. All right, let's find another one. Let's see. No. Oh no, let me find one. Oh, this turtle. That will work. Friend of children. Oh, whoops. All right, let me try another one. Ooh, fire blast. This will be an easy one to do. Nice. I like this one. Let's get, where's the penguin? Let's give the penguin fire. Penguin breathing fire. Ah! All right, what else can we do? I think I'm going to save time and do like several of them together at the same time.